Anin, Jackie Pierson, Indigenous. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jackie Pierson, and I am Anishinaabe from Winnipeg, Canada, and I am the Behavioral Health Coordinator for the California Consortium for Urban Indian Health, also known in short as CCUIH. So when I say CCUIH, that's who I'm referring to. I just wanted to come on and record a little message for everyone out there. I know that right now we are going through some uncertain times. I know with this whole COVID-19 pandemic that's currently going on, let's face it, it's a bit scary out there. So I just wanted to offer a little bit of kind of some ideas, what it looks like when we're kind of going through stress. What does that look like? Like, what does that look like in adults? What does that look like in teens and children? It can present itself definitely in different ways, and some of the same ways as well. So I just wanted to offer a little bit on what does that look like? What are we seeing possibly in our children, with our spouses, with our friends? There's, definitely a lot of uncertainty out there. It's stressful, it's scary, it's overwhelming. For a lot of us, we are at home. Most of the country, in fact, is at home. I know here in California, we're at home. And, it's not easy. It's not easy to essentially have our lives flipped upside down. And, within our own communities, within our own Indian communities, we understand that that we're already at a higher risk for other health conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease. These are things that that our community faces already. So, being at a higher risk for something like COVID-19 can definitely make us feel uneasy, make us feel stressed, have a lot of anxiety around that. As we know, information is changing daily on what we should be doing, what we should not be doing. We hear a lot of a lot of the different terms we've never heard before, such as social distancing. What is social distancing? Well, we know that it's keeping at least 6 feet away from people when we're out in public. So I just wanted to go into a little bit and have some notes here. So what can stress look like in adults? As we're trying to support our elders, trying to support our friends and our other family and our relatives out there in Indian country. What are some of the things that we might be seeing? So again, some of the more obvious ones is fear and worry about our own health and health of our loved ones. In Indian culture, we really, really value our elders. Our elders are so important to us, and we worry about their health, and some other things we might see is some changes in our sleeping or eating patterns. So, we may be having a lot more of a harder time staying asleep, for instance, or getting to sleep, just a lot of worries, a lot of things on our mind, changes in eating habits. I've been seeing some memes out there, like in Facebook land about, I need social distancing from the fridge, stuff like that. So we might be, we might see an increase in wanting to eat, a decrease. Some of us might not be able to eat at all. Some of us lucky ones, but yeah. So just being aware of those things, and then so difficulty not only sleeping but concentrating on work or school or our home life right now. A lot of us are having to work from home. We're having to become teachers suddenly to our children. And, it can be really difficult to concentrate on those things. I know for myself, last week was kind of the first week that we really went into this work from home. And it was really, really difficult for me for that first week, just kind of getting adjusted to schedules and having while still having to work and to do things. And that's really, really hard for some people. Spending most of your day looking at and listening to news and social media. So you might see people that are really worried and stressed. You might see some of that happening. panic attacks, that might be something that's a little more outwardly facing. So some of the stuff I had mentioned could be, you're noticing it kind of more inwardly, more outwardly. Things are panic attacks. So what does a panic attack look like? Well, for other people or for everybody, it looks different. But some of the, symptoms that you might be experiencing or noticing, sweating, excessive sweating, feeling shaky, your heart might be pounding really fast and beating really fast. You might get this sudden, like overwhelming feeling of fright. So you could be just sitting there and you could be fine and thinking that nothing's wrong. And then all of a sudden, this kind of just intense feeling of fright might come over you. Feeling like you're going to die. For some people, when they're in the middle of a panic attack, they feel like, oh my gosh, my heart's beating so fast, I'm going to have a heart attack and I'm going to die. I mean, just these are some of the real things and real people experience when they're having panic attacks. Not also, and just a note that not all of these symptoms that I just talked about are, they're not all experienced during a panic attack, but these are just some of the ones that people have reported that they notice. And then you might see, when you're really stressed and you're having a lot of high anxiety, for our relatives that have, chronic health conditions such as diabetes, you might notice that your blood sugars are higher during times of stress. So that's why it's really important to be able to take care of ourselves when we're feeling that way. Other things you might is just this excessive worry that starts interrupting your daily routine. So it's normal to feel worried, to feel uncertain, to feel overwhelmed. I mean, those are normal emotions, and it's part of being a human and feeling these emotions. And sometimes they can be really protective for us. They help us. But when it starts to become so overwhelming and excessive that it starts interrupting our day, like we're not able to function because we're just worrying too much, that's when it becomes troublesome. And then you're going to want to get some supports around that. You might also notice increased use of alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. So you might be stressed, during times like this. You might see, some people relapsing. You might see yourself feeling like you want to use more. And this, is really, it's really your body's telling you something, your mind is telling you something, that you need some support, some extra supports. And it's also important to keep note when you're looking kind of for these signs of stress and anxiety, that for children and teens, it can look different. So some of the things that you might see in children or teens is excessive crying or irritation, in younger children. They just might be just more grumpy and crabby and just crying more. That might be a sign that they're really stressed. And they may not have the language to be able to tell us that they're stressed, but you'll see it in these behaviors. So it's really important to look for that because, if we're stressed and we're feeling anxious, they're going to feel that too, especially right now, being at home with your whole family and not really being able to get out as much, with the whole shelter in place around this COVID-19 pandemic. It's your children are going to feel it. They're going to feel what you're feeling. So other behaviors you might see is returning to behaviors that they have outgrown. For little kids, there might be, more toilet accidents or bedwetting. That's something that they haven't done in a long time. And all of a sudden you see some of those were kind of regressive, they call it, behaviors coming back. That's another sign that your child may be experiencing stress and anxiety. Excessive worry or sadness. And, for some children, especially older children and teens, they may be able to tell you that, I'm just really worried and I'm scared. You might hear these things. Again, just like in adults, unhealthy eating and sleeping habits. One thing you might see, particularly with teens, is irritability and acting out behaviors. So, you might see kids that they're not wanting to participate. They're not wanting to clean. They're just being extra kind of uncooperative with you, really. They don't want to participate in ceremonies. They don't want to use any medicines. They're just kind of resistant to everything that you're offering. Just recognizing that may be a sign that they're, feeling really extra stressed and anxious. They may be avoiding doing schoolwork. So it might be a real big struggle right now as you're trying to as you're trying to get school done and become, you know, super mom and super dad and super teacher all at the same time. You may not be able to, you know, you may be wondering why they don't want to do the work. They're just really fighting you on it. Recognize that that actually can be a sign of the stress and anxiety. Difficulty with attention and concentration, avoidance of activities that they usually do. So, you know, you may have your child that loves bike rides, loves going roller skating, loves playing outside, and suddenly they don't want to do that. You know, you might want to check in with them. If they're consistently not wanting to do these things, because that could also be a sign. And then one of the biggest things that you'll see with kids, with teens, especially that don't exactly have those words yet. They don't know how to express emotions. They don't know how to tell you how they're feeling necessarily. But one way that this comes out with children is you'll see unexplained headaches, body aches, such as, you know, I've got a sore tummy, mommy. And it's not something that's typically happening with them, but you notice, like, you know, quite a bit. You're seeing, you know, mom, my tummy hurts. I can't do it. My tummy hurts. I can't do it. I have a headache. This, you know, again, check in with them, because that could be something they call a somatic symptom. So they're feeling it physically. It's manifesting itself in a physical form. And again, with teenagers, you might see some alcohol, tobacco, and drug use as well. So you're going to want to, you know, pay attention to that. So with all that being said, what are some ways that we can be looking out for our own wellness, you know, our own mind, body, emotions, and spirit, and the wellness of our children and our community? You know, as Indian people, we believe in caring for and taking care of the whole person, the whole mind, body, spirit, and emotions. And we believe in taking care of our community. So what are some of the ways that we can do that during this time? You know, this is a really kind of trying time for not only for us, but the whole world. So what can we be doing when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling stressed? What are some of the things that we should be doing? Well, some of the things that I thought, you know, I wanted to come up with kind of a list. You know, I've been paying attention out to what's going out there, what people are suggesting, and I came up with a list that I thought might be helpful. So I just wanted to share some of that with you. So one thing we might want to do is check in on our elders and relatives who are more at risk for COVID-19. So as you know, or as you've probably heard by now, our most vulnerable populations are elders and those who have immune compromised systems. So those are people who have current existing heart disease, who have diabetes, who have autoimmune disorders. These are people that are going to be a little bit more at risk for COVID-19. So we want to make sure that we're checking in our elders. If they are isolated, please don't go and see them. We don't want to risk spreading COVID-19, you know, especially if we're not having symptoms and we don't know that we may have it. It might be best just to call them, to call our elders, to call our family and our relatives. And if they're somebody that lives with us, you know, make sure you're checking in on grandma, on grandpa, making sure that they're okay. You know, they may be hearing this news and not really understanding what's kind of going on. So let's make sure that we're having conversations, we're checking in on their wellness as well. We want to also be looking at credible information. There's so much information out there right now. And I know our executive director, Virginia, had mentioned that in one of her earlier broadcasts, but we really want to make sure that we are looking at information. So this is information that, you know, the CDC is putting out, that our local states and cities and towns are putting out. We want to be looking at that information and not, you know, inundating ourselves with a whole bunch of other information. You know, we want to have a sense of feeling of being prepared, understanding the risks, so that, you know, sometimes, or a lot of times, if we feel prepared, not necessarily over prepared, but prepared, that brings a sense of calm, can bring a sense of calm for ourselves. You know, we want to be using our medicines. You know, we as Indian people have many traditional medicines out there, and we want to be utilizing that as much as we can. So, you know, I've heard people are boiling cedar, making cedar tea. Again, you always want to check and make sure that you're doing it correctly. People are burning our medicines. We're burning our cedars, our sage, or sweetgrass, all the kapal, all of our medicines we're burning. Continue to do that. Not only do they say that, medicines like sage can actually help clean the air, but it also helps clean our spirit, and it helps bring a sense of calm. I know for my children, I have 2 daughters, and we're burning sage every day, and it makes them feel better. I notice that they feel a lot more calm. My older daughter told me, Mom, I feel way better when we burn the sage. So we want to be doing that. We want to be doing that daily, and we don't have to burn a lot. Some people think that we have to smoke, super smoke our house out, but we don't. We just got to burn, just burn a little, and clear the air, clear your mind, your body, and your spirit, and your emotions. So we want to be doing that. We want to be praying. We want to pray to Creator. If that's who you pray to, or you pray to our ancestors, that can be really helpful for us during these times as well. Is the use of prayer. We want to be using this time to do things culturally that make us feel well, on an everyday basis. We want to be, make sure that we're doing things like we're doing our beading, we're making our regalia, making our jewelry, sewing our ribbon skirts, singing our songs, making our drums, making our clappers. We're doing all those things. We're growing our food. We're growing some medicines, and we're getting out into the land. I've seen some information out there about just getting out into the land and reconnecting with the land. Of course, practicing the social distancing, but get out into the land, get out into the fresh air. Getting out for a walk, that does so much for you, and for your mental health, not only your physical health, but your mental health as well, and your well-being overall. And if these are things that we have never done, like we've never beaded or we've never made skirts, now's such a great time to be able to get out there and do this. This is the time where life has slowed down a little. It can slow down a little for us at home, and we suddenly have this time that we normally don't have. This may be a great opportunity to start learning some of those things that we've always wanted to do and we haven't been able to. I know that right now, there are a lot of people out there that are offering, some of these things, like on YouTube, on Facebook. You can probably search how to bead on YouTube, and you'll find information. A lot of people are offering free information right now. So really, this is the time to kind of get out there and, and do these things. Start learning these things. They definitely say that culture is healing, and it really is for us. It really is. And then there are other things. We could try meditation. So, there are various types of meditations out there. There's mindfulness meditation. There's guided meditations. Guided meditations is where you just sit and listen, and you listen to the voice on the recording, and they'll just guide you through the meditation. I know for me, that's the one I like to listen to the most. I usually have a very busy mind, and I'm go all the time. And so guided meditations for me, it just helps to just sit and listen and let them kind of guide me through it. There's something called self-compassion meditations, which I'll show you the website for that in a little bit. And then there's also, listening to traditional teachings. There's a lot of people out there that are offering those teachings, and we just need to search for them. We could, the great thing about the internet is there's so much information out there that we can do that. We can listen to our traditional songs, and we can listen to traditional teachings. Now's kind of the time to do that. Let's see, there's also, as far as meditation, there's some apps that you can download on your phone. I know a couple that I know of, Calm and something called Headspace. These are apps that you can just put on your phone, and they've got meditations, they've got like nature sounds, they've got things that can be really help us with kind of calming our minds and calming our bodies when we're not feeling well. I know right now, for instance, actually Headspace has, they're offering, you can Google, they're offering their app free for the rest of 2020 for healthcare providers. So if you're a mental health provider, if you're a doctor or work in the medical field, and you have something called an MPI number, And if you look that up, you can find it, and then you enter that, and you'll get it free for the rest of the year. So that's a really good resource for people. And then one thing that I will say that is super, super important right now is to make sure that we're taking breaks from there's everybody's talking about COVID-19 right now. We want to make sure that we're looking after our well-being, and a part of that is taking breaks from the news, from media. We need to unplug a lot of times. I know for myself, the first couple of days I was listening to everything. I wanted to hear it all. I needed to know. And gosh, by about the third or fourth day, I was like, whoa, I'm so overwhelmed right now. I'm like completely frightened. I'm convinced I'm dying tomorrow, and that's all there was to it. And I realized, you know what, Jackie, you gotta cut it off. You gotta go and take a break from it. So I did. For like 2 days, I took a break, and I tell you, it did so much for my mental health and well-being. So I really encourage you to just, like I said earlier, listen to kind of the credible sources. Maybe, make it a routine where you just listen to a little bit and update yourself once a day, and then just do the other things. Look up the beating videos and the teachings, and fill your soul and your spirit with those things. Those are the things that are going to really carry you through right now, this tough time right now, because this, like they say, this too shall pass, and this will pass. And we can use this opportunity to really take care of ourselves. The world is slowed down. I think Mother Nature, you hear Mother Nature is healing right now. Like, I think it's a good time for us to be healing ourselves too right now, and just taking care of ourselves. The world has forced us to slow down right now, and that's okay. That's totally okay. Let's see. Going outside, I had that emphasized, going outside. It's really important that we're going for walks, we're taking hikes if we can, we're sitting on our balconies, playing in our yards, letting our children play. Please get your children outside. They need it more than anything right now. Again, as long as you're practicing the social distancing and staying 6 feet away from people, outside is great. Getting that vitamin D from the sun, it's so important right now. I know for my family, when we go outside, it just makes life feel normal, when you're outside. So please get out onto the land, touch your feet into that sand or that grass or wherever you are. Just connect with Mother Earth. It's going to be so much more helpful for your well-being. And then what you want to do is you also want to, for some people, actually right now, it's really important to set some structure for yourself, for your family, but you don't want to be too rigid. You want to, have a routine, continually wake up, take a shower, if you need to do your makeup, whatever you need to do to feel good, do that. Make sure you're doing those things. I know for my children, we have like a daily school schedule besides the weekends. Weekends we make feel like it's the weekend, so it feels normal for them. But during the weekday, we're setting schedules for them, and but we're also not making it super rigid, because again, we need to recognize that children are also going through emotions and feelings about this whole COVID-19 pandemic. So we got to be respectful of that. We got to be listening to our children. We don't need to be fighting them if they won't do that math sheet and they're just fighting you on it. Understand that they may be feeling some of that anxiety, and offer to take them outside for a while, but provide that structure, because I think not only do children need the structure, but we need the structure, and it makes us feel good as well. So recognizing that, and then also recognizing when that this is not a time to be a perfectionist. This is not a time to put such rigid expectations on ourselves. This is just not that time. This is a time to, again, like I will say this over and over, this is a time to heal. This is a time to rest. Again, okay, so, one thing we could be doing out as well is reaching out to our wellness behavioral health supports, our counselors, our therapists, our traditional knowledge keepers, our people that we usually see to support us, to support our well-beings, to support our mental health. Make sure you're checking in with those people. I know right now, there was a bit of a scramble to kind of figure out how we were going to do this as mental health providers, but there is something called telehealth where they're encouraging people to still see their therapist. Right now, it's probably got to be by phone, or for some providers, they may have even like video, like Zoom video or FaceTime. Things like that. Check in with your provider, continue to get that support. It's obviously important for you if you have been seeing one and they're really great support to you, reach out, make sure that you're continuing to do that, and let them know what works for you, what you need in that moment. Right now you might not be able to sit there and work on your trauma that you're normally working with your therapist on. You need to just, you might just need somebody to talk to about, this stress and anxiety that you're currently experiencing. And I would imagine that they also are feeling some of those things. So, right now it's kind of we need that human connection and that human spirit around us. So making sure that we're staying connected. And so we want to also be reaching out to our medical providers, our traditional healers, to address any health concerns. Phone right now, again, phone and video appointments are what's usually available right now. But knowing that those are there, so we got to be taking care of our health. Again, right now is a time to be connected with others. So we want to catch up with our relatives, call those aunties, those uncles, those cousins, grandmas, grandpas, cookums, mushums, call them, make sure they're okay. I know I've seen people using, programs like Zoom or Ring Central to have those kind of Brady Bunch type video calls with their family. Those are great. Those are great ways to stay connected while we're practicing the social distancing and having to shelter in place at home. But make sure that we're staying connected to our family, because in our communities, because we as Indian people, that's what we do. We know that we have our communities, that we have our relatives. So we want to look out for each other. Now is really the time to be doing that. And then you want to give your children space to talk about their concerns around COVID-19. I know sometimes it's like we're so scared or we're so uncertain that we want to shelter and hide these scary, worry concerns from our children. And I believe that there are some things that aren't in the best for our children, but I think also talking to them about it is also really helpful for them. Giving them facts that we know that they will understand, using language that they'll understand, letting them know that it's okay to feel worried and upset. That this is a human emotion and it's okay to feel that. But also being a role model, showing them that you're taking care of them yourself, showing them that you're getting outside, that you're meditating, that you're watching TV when you need to watch TV, and you're laughing. We as Indian people, one of the ways that we heal is we laugh, and so doing that with your children and showing them and role modeling that is going to be so important for their well-being and also for your own well-being. If you feel like your children are feeling safe and are feeling well, it's gonna make you feel a lot better and a lot less concerned as a parent. One thing I've noticed out there is many of our community members are putting out videos and live feeds about, like, again, the language lessons, virtual powwows. I've heard of some virtual powwows going on. Tune into those things. Those are our culture. Those are what keep us well as Indian people. And so we need to be tuning into those things. Even if we're having a hard day and it just feels kind of hard, turning on a POW and hearing that music and seeing our beautiful people dancing, that's so healing for us. So I encourage you to be looking for those things. I know a lot of those things exist, like for instance on Facebook. Some other things you can be doing, really reading daily positive affirmations and practicing daily gratitude. So create a gratitude journal, take an old dusty notebook if you need to. And every day before you get out of bed, list 5 things that you're grateful for right now. You're grateful for your family, you're grateful for your health right now. I mean, there's a lot to be grateful for in our lives as well. Even in times like this, when it doesn't feel like the world feels feels good right now. You know, there's always things to be grateful for. So list those. Sometimes we got to actually see those things. We got to write them down. We got to look at it and see something tangible in our hands. Right now is the time definitely to practice that. You know, look up, there's, you know, a great thing about internet, there's so much information. Look up daily positive affirmations. Like, you know, what things will make me feel good? What will make me feel comforted today? What do I need today to feel my soul and to feel my, you know, to fill my basket? I need to fill my basket with good things. You know, all of these things I'm talking about are all things, I kind of look at them like they call them wellness tools, you know, tools that I'm putting into my basket and I'm filling it. So when I'm not feeling good, I got these things to take out. You know, for some people, actually making a little basket and writing them down in pieces of paper, putting them in that basket. And when I'm not feeling well, I'm taking it out and I'm like, oh, this, I can try this. You know, some people get that literal, and that can also be, you know, an art project. You know, making art is healing. You know, encouraging our children to make art is really, really great. Doing things you enjoy, you know, cooking, reading, puzzles, crafts, coloring, gardening, all those things that we never have time for. You know, we can be doing those things right now. Making sure, again, that we're taking care of our bodies. So we're practicing deep breathing. And again, you can look on YouTube and there's so many, you know, great deep breathing exercises to show you. Actually doing exercises, there's a lot of exercise videos that you could be looking at. I know I've seen some powwow exercise videos recently, which were really great. They were awesome. There are people doing powwow, you know, with the music and everything, and whoa, looked like super good work. So I really want to try those for myself. That's one of the things that I want to do that I haven't been able to do. Or haven't tried to do. You know, learn a dance style that you've always wanted to try. You know, stretch our bodies. For some of us that, you know, are a little bit more restricted in what we can do physically, you know, we can stretch. We can just stretch our bodies. We can just move our bodies. If it's getting outside and walking for 2 minutes and then walking 2 minutes back, that's something. That's moving. That's putting ourselves out in the sun. Those things are good for us. You know, they have yoga. They have all different types of yoga for all different levels. Even for people that can't really walk, they can sit in a chair. There's videos out there where you can sit in a chair and try yoga that way. So trying those things. And then there's also something called self-compassion. There's a psychologist by the name of Kristen Neff. She was a founder of this idea of self-compassion, which is basically giving ourselves the same kind of kindness, nurturing, loving ways that we would give one of our relatives. You know, quite often when we see one of our relatives struggling, we give them all the kind. We are so kind to them. We are so compassionate. And we don't give those same things to ourselves. You know, we're not able to give those things to ourselves. So this idea of self-compassion is that we are loving ourselves. We are recognizing that we're all human and we're all going through the same human experience, and that we too deserve the same compassion and kindness that we would give other people. So one thing I just wanted to share quickly was her website, because she's got a couple of really great resources on this website that you can access. It's something that's tangible. So I just wanted to share her website really quick to show you. Okay, so this is her website. It's selfcompassion.org, as you can see it up here. So her name is Dr. Kristen Neff. She actually has some really great YouTube videos. If you look up her name, search her name on YouTube, you can find some of her presentations that she's done. She's just really good at explaining it. She even talks about things like having self-compassion versus self-esteem. So it's really great. If you got some time, look her up and look up this idea. What you'll see under practices on this website, you'll see this pops up. So it's got some guided meditations in the realm of talking about this idea of self-compassion. For some people, they like longer meditations. So you can see there's 24 minutes, 20 minutes. For people who are really busy or just can't concentrate for a long time, she has even shorter ones. So there's at the bottom here, there's a self-compassion break, which is 5 minutes long. I've done it. I'm usually one of those people that don't have a lot of time, but this is great. And then one thing she also has, which I really like, are some exercises. So for instance, my favorite one to do, and I've done this to myself many times, is how would you treat a friend? So how do you think things might change if you responded to yourself in the same way you typically respond to a close friend when he or she is suffering? So this exercise will walk you through it. What it does is it has you writing a letter to yourself in a compassionate way, as a compassionate friend. Which is really great. And then another exercise, she has 8 exercises here, taking care of the caregiver. So quite often, especially us as mothers, we are able to nurture others, but we're not able to nurture ourselves. So how do we take care of ourselves as we're taking care of others? So this is just some of the things. She has like a self-compassion journal. So I just wanted to show you this website quickly because I think it's really great. And I really love the idea of self-compassion. It can feel totally foreign at first and uncomfortable, but I encourage you to just keep giving it a try, because I've been doing it for myself, for instance, and felt totally unnatural, and now it's really been helpful for me, personally. So this has been quite a bit of a long time of recording, so I want to make sure that I'm ending soon. But one thing I want to say is, I think the most important thing to do for our wellness is to rest. I think we are so busy nowadays trying kind of, like that hamster on the wheel where we're never stopping, and, we're workers, we're parents, we're students, we're always on the go. And this is a time right now where we're being told, I think the universe is telling us that it's time to rest. So I want to really encourage that, rest when you need to. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty if in the middle of the day you need a nap, or you just need to watch some TV and not think about anything else. Use the time and do that. It's really, really, really going to be important for your wellness. So I'm going to stop there. But I want to thank you all for listening. I hope that even if one of the things that I mentioned was helpful, please, I encourage you to have the courage to give it a try, and to take care of yourselves. Again, this is really, an overwhelming time right now in society in general, and in our whole world and around Indian country. And I just want us to take care of ourselves and to take care of our relatives, to look after our elders, to look after our children, and to look after ourselves. I can't emphasize that enough. But thank you all so much for listening, and I wish you all well. And again, this too will pass, and until then, just take care.